All right, welcome. Happy spring, everyone. March 30th, 2026 board meeting, back from spring break. And, it's a great time of year, it really is. So we'll call meeting to order. Do I hear a recommendation to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, and then do I hear a motion to approve the minutes? From, and these are the minutes from February 23rd, 2026. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Board members, I would love to start our meeting celebrating our students, and accomplishments just keep coming. And these are regular attenders that come, I guess, most every year for the different things that they do. So I want to walk you through some of those tonight. First, we have our varsity Rebelettes, and this is some of the Rebelettes, I think. And their coach is Sherry Jones. She's not here tonight. Faith is going to tell us a little bit about what they've accomplished this year.
Yes, so they have competed in 2 state competitions and 1 in categories in both of those. And then why don't you guys tell them exactly, I know what we did at nationals, but I want to make sure I get the categories right. So Wesley, you want to share that?
We did team performance and we got 4th place. We did game day and we got 7th place. And then in jazz we got 11th.
Yeah. And these
We got
categories,
6, not 11.
the categories have up to 40 to 50 different teams across the nation. So to place 4th or 5th or 7th is really an accomplishment. But they did place first in their state competition, so we were really proud of that. It was the most beautiful jazz dance I've ever seen a team do. It was beautiful. Yeah.
And they perform throughout the year, not just in competition, but you go to
Yeah, they
basketball
do.
games, you see them perform.
Pep rallies, basketball games.
Yeah.
And they have a show coming up in the dance department showcase is first week of May.
Yeah, and so the season starts when? I mean, when you start practicing in summer, and they go all the way through the year.
It's 12 months.
It's a grind.
They get July off.
Yeah. So, well, tell us your name, what grade you're in.
My name's Wesley. I'm a senior and I'm the captain.
I'm Tana, I'm a senior and I'm co-captain.
I'm Alexis and I'm a senior. I'm Kate and I'm a senior.
I'm Meredith and I'm a senior.
All right. State champs, congratulations. You're doing something now. You're the first people to actually try this. We wanted you actually city board members who represent the community and serve our school system as leaders. Wanted you to know who they were, first of all, but offering you time if you guys want any comments for the group.
Congrats, ladies. My daughter was a dancer, but went the cheerleading route. But I can only imagine this similar work that goes into it. A lot of stuff that we don't see, we just get to see the performances, but you are, practicing and making your routines precise. And so anyway, congratulations and best of luck on your future.
Thank you, ladies. Appreciate it. All right, I think our JV Rebelettes are on their way.
Is there one here? 19.
All right, this is our junior varsity Rebelettes, and they are regular attenders as well. I think most years I've been here, not all, they're showing up for various things. But Lindsay Charles is with them tonight. She's their coach. Tell us a little bit about this team this year.
Well, they have done an amazing job. They've competed in both the team performance and game day categories this year with NDA, and gotten state championship for team performance and national championship for team performance as well. So they killed it this year and did an amazing, amazing job. And just like varsity that we just saw, they also perform at all the half times for the many of the JV boys and girls and ninth grade boys games, basketball games, and perform at all of the pep rallies at the high school.
State national champ. That's impressive. So your season starts in summer?
They've been going since,
Yeah.
what, June, pretty much? Yeah, they've been going since
And
June.
competed in February, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, what I'd like you to do is to introduce yourself as our Board of Education. We'll make sure you knew who they were and they can see you as well. Introduce yourself, what grade you're in. Maybe we'll start at the front and work our way back, okay?
Okay, my name's Emlyn and I'm a sophomore. My name's Julia Parker, I'm a sophomore. I'm Megan Measle, I'm a sophomore.
I'm Ella Grace, and I'm a freshman.
I'm Lila and I'm a freshman.
I'm Mary Catherine and I'm a freshman.
I'm Lainey Woodham and I'm a freshman.
I'm Claire, and I'm a freshman.
I'm Ella and I'm a sophomore.
I'm Ava, and I'm a sophomore.
I'm Lainey and I'm a sophomore.
I'm Allie, and I'm a freshman.
I'm Julia and I'm a freshman.
I'm Peyton and I'm a freshman.
I'm Ginny and I'm a sophomore.
I'm Ashlyn and I'm a sophomore.
I'm Kathleen, and I'm a freshman.
I'm Breland and I'm a freshman.
All right. Board members, any comments?
I see some of my neighbors over there going, they work really, really hard. And congratulations, hard work obviously pays off. Y'all are representing that.
We congratulate the varsity, but the junior varsity, but a lot more parents showed up for the junior varsity. I want to congratulate you guys.
It's the driving.
That's right.
I'm like a mom.
Well, but to that point, a lot more effort to get them to practice and all the lessons and everything that goes with it. So you are to be commended as well and to have such dedicated girls to their craft. It's kudos to both the students and the parents. So job well done.
And while we got you here dressed so well, Moms may want some pictures, but you may need to rearrange just a little bit.
Yeah, y'all do your typical, the sophomores and the freshmen. Y'all know what to do. They're professionals,
State national champ. One of the many things that I love about our schools and our community is the value of competition that extends beyond the ball field and the courts. It's in the theater, it's on the dance floor, it's in the academic arena. In this case, it's our speech and debate team who are state champions as well. And Nate Conley is with us today. And this is also a routine thing for us in our schools, and Nate's been leading the program for a number of years. And tell us a little bit about this team this year, Nate.
Another phenomenal team. This is our 5th consecutive state championship. So they put in a lot of work, and we have a team of like 50 students, and I don't want to bring all of them. So these are 5 of our individual state champions, and there'll also be 5 that are going to be representing us at nationals this summer. So,
And we've won state championship.
yeah, 5 in a row. I think it's 8 out of the last 10 as well.
No big deal. Yeah, and so what next is nationals?
Yes, for these 5.
Okay, for these 5. All right, so tell us your name and what grade you're in.
My name's Arhan, and I'm a senior.
Okay.
I'm Asta and I'm a sophomore.
I'm Kaylee, and I'm a junior.
My name is Veronica and I'm a junior. I'm Vivian and I'm a senior.
All right, some of the folks that are standing up here were part of an event a couple of weeks ago that our Rotary Club did, which I thought was incredible. It was just a night where you debated, and one of you actually did an impromptu speech, which was unbelievable. You want to try one tonight? I was so impressed. It was, I think you had a 3-minute speech. You were given a topic, 3 minutes. You had your new role for 3 minutes. It was incredible. But then they debated as well on a topic that they didn't know either and had just a few minutes to prepare. It was really just a snippet, I think, too, Nate, of how complex this really is. And you simplified it for us, but it's a very impressive talent for what they're able to do. And they have represented us so well, of course. And some of you were there, you might want to make any comments.
Yeah, I got to attend. It was, I mean, I was just totally blown away. I was on the speech and debate team when I was in high school. So I know a little bit of what y'all are doing, but it was just so impressive. Could you also share which events you're going to be competing with in nationals?
Yeah, so I'm going to be competing in public forum, which is like the 2v2 style debate.
I'll also be in public forum.
I'll be doing international extemporaneous, where you have 30 minutes to prepare a speech on an international political topic.
And I'll be doing public forum as well.
So Arhan and Vivian are partners, and Esther and Kaylee are partners. We, in public forum debate, we closed out, we co-championed in that event.
What Dr. Freeman didn't share is that her speech was actually on a pineapple. Like they picked random words from the crowd and it was on a pineapple. So, I mean, it's just really pretty mind-blowing. I mean, Blair looked at me and was like, yeah, this can be really good.
We really may bring her back. It was just something else. I think it was a beautiful night, that display of really how impressive this is. Nate, congratulations, state champs, and good luck at nationals.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nate. Thank you. All right, so good. Courtney, take it away.
Good afternoon, board members. I have provided the financial statements and check register for the period ending February 28, 2026 for your review. As of February 28th, we have collected 82.1% of our budgeted ad valorem tax revenues, which is the exact same as this time last year. So we are hitting right on track with our revenue projections. During February, we earned $122,292 in interest income from our investment and treasury sweep account. And our general fund expenditures and transfers out are 45.1% of the budget compared to 47.6% last year. All things being equal, we should be at 41.6% of budgeted expenditures in the 5th month of this fiscal year. We're a little above that due to some payments for annual expenditures, such as debt and insurance that have already been made. All bank accounts have been reconciled as of February 28th, 2026, and the monthly financial reports have been submitted to the Alabama Department of Education. Monthly financial statements and check registers are also available for public viewing on the district's website.
Thanks, Courtney. Board members, I recommend approval of the financial statement for February 2026.
Board members, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation to approve the financial statement for February 2026. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Under consent items, I recommend the board approve disposal of property and field trips that are in-state overnight and out-of-state overnight.
Board members, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation to approve the consent items related to disposal of property and field trips out of state and overnight. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Under business, the first item is a recommendation to approve social studies and art textbooks. Once you get a motion on the floor, Jay, I'll ask Brooke to share some information about this process.
Sure. Board members, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation to approve the textbooks. And do I hear a motion?
Second.
Do I hear a second?
All right, Brooke. Where's Brooke? There you are.
Yeah.
Brooke, Tell us
Yeah.
about this process.
Okay, so the process actually began with the state developing new social studies and art standards about 2 years ago. Our social studies standards were approved last December of 2024, and then soon after that, our teachers began looking at new standards or what the new standards entailed with our secondary teachers last spring and our elementary teachers this fall. And then we also began the adoption process. So the state's always almost like a year ahead of us. They began their process of reviewing materials last summer. And then while that was going on and they were reviewing materials, we began our own process within the district. So the state committee looked at and reviewed textbooks and released their approved list in October. We began looking at our textbooks locally around probably late November and went through a pretty extensive process of reviewing those at the schools, using a rubric. We had several teachers and admins attend the textbook caravan. And then we continued that process of looking at new standards and new textbooks over several months, continued that on into February, and then made our final selection as a district in February. The state board then voted at the March 12th board meeting to approve and accept the list from the state committee, and our local district committee met right after that on March 18th to approve the list that our teachers had selected. So it's really a process that's been going on over, I'd say, about 2 years with the state and with our local selection.
What generally is the significant changes on the social studies side?
So not a big change at elementary level, specifically K2, some changes with third grade, fourth grade, the biggest shifts probably with fifth and sixth grade, and then seventh grade as well.
U.S. history being spread out more with the grades.
Yeah, and third, fourth, and fifth is really an emphasis, and even really in K2, there's a big emphasis on Alabama history, and then as it relates to U.S. history.
Yeah, and then in the secondary ages, I think middle school and high school this year actually began to adapt some already before the textbooks, right?
Yes, a little bit of a shift. And so in past, seventh grade was half civics, half geography. And this year, they've made a little bit of shifts this year, but they'll be fully implementing next year with really covering world history and geography, 7th, 8th, and 9th. So kind of that 3-year vertical line of that.
Yeah. Do the textbooks we have brought for recommendation, is that the typical what you see across the state?
Yes, and those were on the state. So you have the option to adopt off list from the state, but our selections were on the state list and approved by the state textbook committee and the state board.
And I think the rotation is about every 6 years for this process.
Yes.
The issue this time with social studies was supposed to take place about 6 years ago. And that was delayed for a number of reasons, but here we are, 2026. So it has been almost 2 cycles since we have done social studies.
Yeah, 2010
Yeah.
were our last standards.
So arts, I think, has stayed generally on track. What is next year?
So next year's digital literacy and computer science.
And the standards are being developed this year, really have already been
Yes,
developed.
they have, and they've been out for public review.
And then we will look, if there are any texts to purchase, that we won't have purchasing as much.
No. Yeah, so generally for that, we're not purchasing textbooks.
Okay. Very good. And just as a point of reference, the state does provide a textbook allocation to boards. It does not cover what we will select. We will pick up some balance. I'm not sure how much it is yet, Courtney, but we'll pick up the balance. Yeah, how much you think?
Like 300 or 400.
Yeah, and so the benefit is state's allocation is about the same every year. So on low purchase years like next year, we can somewhat make up the difference, but we'll have to do a little bit to start with. So any questions you got for Brooke?
For the local committee, can you talk a little bit about the composition of the local committee?
Sure, yeah, so our local committee consists of teachers, parents, Faith and I both serve on the committee. So it is, and it's teachers representing all of our schools. We actually had social studies and arts teachers on our committee since we were adopting both this year. as well as parents who represented different schools and communities.
I think that's just helpful to know that it is a
It is.
diverse committee representing more than just, the admin or teachers.
Yes. And that's important because, our teachers spend a lot of time at their schools and then as a district group reviewing and looking at materials, but then that committee also has time to review all of their selections and offer feedback and ask questions. So I think that's an important piece, that you have kind of that feedback in the process.
Yeah, and one thing to note is that this is the primary curriculum that we work from. It's not the sole curriculum, so you'll find some supplemental things, and we try to provide that information whenever parents want it or need it to supplement what is offered, but this is the primary curriculum.
Thank you for all the work you and your committees and, put together. That's not just a one-time meeting. Anyway, Joe, excellent job. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Item B, recommendation to approve principal contract for Lauren Dressback.
Board members, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation to approve the principal contract for Lauren Dressback. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item C, recommendation to approve principal contract for Alicia Hunsberger.
Board members, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation to approve the principal contract for Dr. Alicia Hunsberger. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Item D, recommendation to approve principal contract for Bill Mann.
Board members, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation to approve the principal contract for Mr. Bill Mann. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations, everybody. All right. Yep. Item E, recommendation to approve the purchase of 2 school buses.
Board members, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation to approve the purchase of 2 school buses. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
I want to note, just so you know this, we purchased these off a state contract, so it's not a bid necessarily, but this kind of value of a purchase, I think it needs to be considered by the board. But this is just part of our efforts to get the fleet as new as it can be. We get a little bit of fleet renewal money from the state for buses that are less than 10 years old. So we're able to purchase some of this from that fleet renewal dollars and some from capital.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Item F is recommendation to approve the licensing agreement for Danny Santiago doing business as Bombard Graphics.
All right, board members, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation to approve the licensing agreement for Danny Santiago doing business as Bombard Graphics. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second? Wait, real quick, how many is this?
This is number 23.
Number 23.
Yeah.
Do you know what this is?
Yes.
Bombard Graphics, who are they?
So they are a business located in Pell City that produces banners, like large form banners that schools use. So typically what they would produce for us would be like at the high school, if they need to have banners that span like a fence, a portion of fencing like at an athletic field, they have the ability to produce those with our marks on those.
And you just recently updated the branding guide.
Yes, sir, that is correct. So that is something that we've been working on. Our licensees have been wanting this. Our coaches have been wanting this as well. And so we actually just finished producing an updated brand guide, collaborating with our athletic director, Laura Casey, and our assistant athletic director for communication, Abby Gillette, who's actually here tonight, making sure that it is simple, easy to read, easy to access for all of our licensed vendors and for our schools and programs, updating some language in it to make sure that it reflects board policy on ownership of all of our marks, as well as procedure on how to use different logos and things now that we have trademark protection on the full brand.
I will say that Vestavia Hills was well represented in every airport I saw in spring break, from Atlanta to Exuma, like every Vestavia Hills logo. Like people are like, "What is this school?" Because it's just everywhere. It's all the kids. That's all they wear. So it is definitely a brand that's well represented.
Well, and we've said it numerous times, but when I first came on board, this was just getting started. And so the implementation of our branding, our trademarks, our copyrights, just excellent work, and just kudos to you, and keep the movement going.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next item is personnel, and I recommend the board approve the personnel actions as submitted.
Board members, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation to approve the personnel action items as submitted. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Hear a second?
Second. I would only comment that it's going to be a busy few months. It typically is starting about now.
I see
We're
that.
starting to learn retirements and different changes and new positions as they're approved. So it's not anything unusual. I do want you to know that.
It's encouraging that we're already hiring people for the fall.
If the principals would let me, they would hire in the fall. We try to hold on as long as we can.
Yes. We got some big shoes to fill on this list. So.
Yes.
All right. All in favor?
I wanted to bring a report to you tonight that focuses on our goal of family and community engagement and the partnerships that we have. And so over the next 2 months, we'll do that. Whit, McGee, and Bill Mann are bringing a report to you around communication. And Whit will give you an overall view of the communication strategies in our system. Bill's going to zero down into the freshman campus as an example of what we do. But I think this has been a really impressive bit of work that Whit's done and the schools and liaisons have done to really market our brand to that point and really display what's really happening in our school. So Whit, Bill, take it away.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the opportunity to present tonight on this goal of family and community partnerships. This was something that we identified as an important piece of our overall strategic plan when we redid our strategic plan last year. And the goal is focused on partnerships that embody trust and a shared commitment to an exceptional experience for our students. And the framework of that is really built around clear and consistent communication, as well as opportunities for feedback and mutual support throughout our schools. We got to start on this work really before we wrote this goal with a communication audit that took place in the fall of 2024. The National School Public Relations Association came into our schools and spent 17 weeks here researching all elements of communication in our school system. And what they found was a commitment from the top down to effective communication, all the way from folks in our classrooms, all the way up to those of you at this desk. And also producing effective communication throughout our schools and school system. But a particular weakness in the area of not having a comprehensive system-wide plan for how we were going to approach communication. So there were some pockets where it needed to be improved and adjusted. There were opportunities identified in accessibility, not just making sure that content is easy to work with and navigate and access, but also does it make sense? They're the things that we're putting out to our parents and community, things that they understand. You don't have to have a degree in education to understand what it is that our teachers and staff and administrators are talking about. And also a focus on simplifying the places that you have to go to get informed about what's happening in our schools. They found a lot of different places where people are having to go, and we consistently heard from parents, staff, students, community members, could you please try to call that list down to fewer places that I have to go to be informed. They also did identify threats in the area of misinformation, particularly misinformation on social media. NSPRA found at the time of this communication audit that 96% of school districts in the US have experienced operational issues as a result of social media misinformation. And certainly we were not immune to that. So all of this really, if I could boil it down to one sentence, I'll use NSPRA's words to us in their communication audit. It's that we have to be the first and best source of information about our schools. First and best. That is a paradigm shift for a school system because our focus is on the classroom, but first and best really suggests that we need to think more like a newsroom, a global hub of information where data is coming in from the field, coming in from our classrooms, we're equipping teachers and staff and administrators to communicate that information in a narrative that's easy to understand, and then broadcasting that out to our parents, employees, students, and community through a unified, simple platform that's easy to access. So that's a pretty tall order for a school system. But the good news is that we've started on that work from a place of trust. The communication audit found that an overwhelming majority of parents and employees in our school system trust the communication that they are receiving from our teachers and from our schools. And I'm really proud to show this data point because this is not our data. This is not an in-house survey that we conducted and hope to skew the results in our favor. This is an independent third-party firm that spent 17 weeks reviewing all aspects of communication in our schools and found, in their words, that this was some of the highest trust that parents and staff place in us of any school district in America. So that's a really great starting point for us to do what we did next, which is develop a system communication plan. There were 4 main focus areas for this plan. One, as I already mentioned to you, simplified communication. Let's have fewer places that you have to go to be informed, and the information that you receive should be simple and easy to access and understand. And along with that, stakeholder engagement. We want people to not just be informed. We want, again, this goal has the word partnership in it for a reason. We want people to partner with us in supporting our students and teachers and staff. Consistency of branding and messaging was a focus. As you mentioned, we want to have we're a national brand. When you have students like those that we had here tonight, winning state and national championships and going for more, $46 million in scholarship offers every year, you're a national brand. And we have to protect our brand like it's a national brand. And then also some things that we needed to put in place around communication safety and governance, just to make sure that we are protecting the systems and the platforms that we use to communicate with our community. We took it a step further though. We also got our schools, our principals and assistant principals to develop school level communication plans. And their focus this year was on consistency in communication. We believe that as a parent, as a community member, you should expect a consistency to the flow of information that's coming from our schools. Simple, clear language in the way that we articulate what's happening within the walls of our schools. Expanding understanding of our plans and goals at the school level, and then also closing the feedback loop. This was a big one. Again, another one of those paradigm shifts for us, because we do a lot of soliciting feedback and information from our stakeholders. But do we ever follow up on that? On here is what we learned from you, and here is how we are acting on what we have learned. And I can speak just personally for a minute as a parent of a child in our school system. I have definitely seen that this year at my daughter's school here at West, and just how they follow up with families to talk about, here is what we are doing to support your child in the school. It's been a really wonderful thing to see. A critical piece of our communication plan this year has been the addition of communication liaisons in our schools. And several of them are here tonight: Jenna Skinner, Allison Hall, Abby Gillette, Allison Little, Kira Aaron. This is something that is done regularly for many years on the collegiate level that we have adapted to the K-12 level. So I'll just use Stanford University as an example. They have a central communications office that's part of their administration building. But then on each college on the campus, College of Business, College of Pharmacy, College of Education, they will have someone embedded in that department who manages and supports the day-to-day communication needs and publishing and amplifying what they're doing. That is something that we have now implemented on the K-12 level, and we think there is nobody better positioned to tell the story of our schools than the teachers and support staff who are already in our buildings. And so this year, they have helped, particularly through social media, to amplify what's happening in our schools. Things like student achievements, like the students that you saw here tonight, and others as well who are achieving, who are reaching excellence. Excellence is one of our core values as a system. Our community wants to see and celebrate that excellence, and they're doing that. Not only that, they're also showcasing the people who are in our buildings. This is one of those things that goes such a long way in building and reinforcing the trust of our community. When you can see and put a face and a name to the difference makers in our building. And then finally, just what I'm calling everyday wins. things that are just good that are happening in the lives of our students. I love this screenshot on the top right from Liberty Park Middle. This was a video that Lindsay Bass, communication liaison, I don't know if Lindsay's here tonight, but put together to just set a microphone in the hallway, and as students are changing class, there's a slip of paper on the front that says, tell us something good that's happened in your life recently. And to see our community celebrate along with our students the good things that are happening just helps to build that goodwill in the community. If we have good kids in our building, we have good people, good teachers and staff, Vestavia Hills is a safe place, a good place to send my child. And their work together this year has netted us over 8.5 million views and 160,000 interactions just since the start of this school year. That is an over 101% increase in the reach that we have into this community through social media since last year. Now, to anybody that might be watching this and thinking, you're doing all this for social media engagement? Yes. Think about how much the media landscape has changed in just the last 10 years. Daily newspapers are gone, right? Media consolidation has severely impacted local news coverage and local journalism. If there's a business, a store, an organization, a church, a nonprofit, a school that you care about, you want to know what's going on with them, you're going directly to the source now for information. And our families and community are doing that. And case in point, this 8.5 million views, when we look at the geotagging on this, where these are coming from, almost all of them, well over 90%, are from right here in Vestavia Hills and the immediate surrounding area. These are not, bots on the other side of the world. This is our community saying, thank you for doing this. We are following you. We want to support you in this way. And I want to just take a moment to thank our communication liaisons this year for the tremendous impact that they have had.
That's impressive.
Not only that, we have also implemented Parent Square system-wide this year. This has been part of that approach to a unified communications platform, having one place that parents and staff can go to get information from our schools. And as you can see some of the usage data here, over 11,000 posts, over 12,000 pictures and videos securely shared since the start of this year, over 127,000 direct messages and over 9,400 virtual phone calls. And I want to just park for just a second on those two data points there about direct messages and virtual phone calls. All of our teachers, coaches, staff, administrators have access to use the Parent Square platform, and they do. But if there is one group that I could single out where this has truly had an outsized impact on what they're doing, it's our special education teachers and paraeducators. They have to be in a constant state of communication with parents, sending data back home about what's going on with our students who have disabilities and IEPs, and providing them this platform has made it where they have one place where that flow of information can take place securely. There's a paper trail to every piece of communication on there, and all of the communications going back and forth are stored in Parent Square's cloud rather than running the risk of this residing on somebody's personal cell phone. That has been a huge win for our special education teachers and staff and for parents as well. And so we're really thankful for having the Parent Square platform this year. We've also used it a lot on the system level. This was something that the communication audit identified as a growth opportunity for us. What the audit found is that parents seemed to feel pretty well informed about what was happening in their child's classroom. But the higher up the chain you go, the less they felt like they were really informed about what was going on. So we have used it this year at the system level for now a monthly e-newsletter that goes out to all parents and all employees to talk about what we're doing at that 30,000-foot view at the system level and the board level. This will go out tomorrow. It includes highlights of our board meetings in it. It includes our calendar. It includes just things that parents say that they want to know, they want to have quick access to. Other departments, like our school counselors, arts education, we've used it for I Am Vestavia Week just to amplify things that are happening in the schools. And the data shows that that's really been a great resource for our families. So we're thankful for that. In addition to that, our website has received a complete revamp since I talked to you in the fall of 2024. Parent Square is also the host of our website. This was something else that was identified in the audit as an opportunity for improvement and simplification. So when we send out those district level communications, we're not just sending them to parents and staff, we're also cross-posting those to our website so that anyone can see what's happening at the system level and be informed. And as you can see there, the data really speaks for itself. Over 500,000 page views and over 100,000 visitors just since the start of this school year. Something else I want to spotlight that we have been in the process of doing is we got Parent Square to directly support us with the website transition. They really helped us a lot in thinking about how can we consolidate, how can we simplify, how can we improve some efficiency here. But we are now following up on that with a self-audit of our website, different sections and pages and departments to make sure that the content that's on there is easy to understand. You know, I think it's really important that if I'm a parent of a child, I don't have a degree in education. I'm not a teacher. I don't have any experience in that area. When I go to your school system website, does what's printed on there make sense to me? Can I understand? Do I need some kind of glossary or does it make sense? And so that we're going through that process now. All of this, I want to emphasize that the outcome here is not big numbers. I wanted to make sure that you saw those tonight just to see the efficacy from a data standpoint, but really the outcome that we're focused on here is trust and relationships and school culture and supporting the partnerships that we talked about. And that's so crucial at the school level. And our principals have really taken lead on this with effective communication at the school level this year. That's why I invited freshman campus principal, Dr. Bill Mann, to come share some comments on how he is supporting really great communication at the school level and how it's helping to build a culture at the freshman campus.
Good afternoon, board members. I wasn't nervous about this at all until I was reminded that a student spoke for 3 minutes about a pineapple and suddenly the bar got raised. Anyway, thanks, Whit. So yeah, ultimately, you know, we want to make sure that the information that's coming out of our school isn't transactional. As principals, we have a responsibility to bear that responsibility of being the voice of our school, and there's a lot of channels that we can use for that. And that's my goal today, is just to kind of highlight how we do that at the freshman campus, because ultimately it's not about information, it's about connection, relationships, and trust, because that's what begins to shape your school culture. Now, we have a few unique opportunities at the freshman campus that make us have to really focus on the communication that we do. And one of them, you're aware of. Most of you have had kids in the building or coming through the building. We have them for 1 year. Right? Students come to us in August, and I want you to think about this. So we say we have them for 1 year. They come to us in August. They have no institutional knowledge about our campus or what the freshman campus is like. So we have to begin that process of building that culture with them. And then at the end of January, something happens. We start talking about course selection. So we start intentionally directing their attention to the next step in their CTE pathway, the courses that they'll take. Hey, you did really well in that honors class. Do you want to try to do an AP class? And we begin directing their attention toward the opportunities that they're going to have at the main campus. And so we have this very short window of time where we have their attention. And so we want to build that culture with them through communication, but also bring parents and other stakeholders along on the journey. Part of that is with our character ed work. Our touchstone for character education at the freshman campus is Own Your Story. Because another unique opportunity we have is that we are the place where the cohort comes together. So for the first time at the freshman campus, that's when the class of 2029 comes together for the first time and unites, our first core values, unity, with the group that they're going to walk through high school with for 4 years and then walk across that stage at Sanford University to officially become graduates of Vestavia Hill City Schools. And so through our communication efforts, we want to build that story with them, but also bring our parents and other stakeholders along on the journey as well. So we have a few opportunities to build connection that leads to culture. First, for us, it starts in January too. You know, in January, we had our Next Steps night where we got to meet with the 8th graders that are going to be coming to us next year and begin that process. Again, we don't want information to just be transactional. So one of the things that we tell our teachers is that if it's important enough for us to invite our community to come into our building, then it's important enough for us all to be there. Because ultimately, that night is not about the information that we share. That's a small piece of it. That night is really about face-to-face connection. It's about hearing my voice, seeing my face, meeting teachers, and seeing who your child is going to be in a classroom with to begin building those connections and building those relationships. That is a night about what they can expect, But it's not just about what they can expect in the classroom, but what they can expect from the people that they're going to interact with. We'll do student tours in August, which is another communication piece. And then in August, we'll also do our back to school night. And that's where for the first time the kids have been in the building for about a month, and parents get to come in and meet face to face with the teacher that's specifically for their child in their classroom. And our goal that night is to give every parent an experience. And it's a short amount of time, and it's a little bit rushed sometimes to get everyone through the periods. But we hope that our teachers are giving them an experience so they get a little taste of what their child is experiencing. And again, see my face, hear my voice, and build that connection that ultimately leads to trust. Another shout out to our liaisons. I'm looking at Kira because she's ours at the freshman campus. She does a fantastic job of managing the social media and making sure that the doors to the freshman campus are always open, because we don't have athletic events. People don't come to our building all the time. You can have a child come through the freshman campus and not set foot in the building many times because the games are being hosted elsewhere and the events are being hosted elsewhere. But through the efforts of Kira, our doors are always open because she's giving everyone a snapshot of what's happening inside the building from day to day, which extends beyond the formal invitations that we extend for book studies and other things that may be happening on campus. And then finally, just weekly communication. Much like the district sends out a weekly newsletter, we try to send out a weekly newsletter. And part of the purpose of that newsletter is to talk about what's happened in the past, what have we done this week, versus what are we doing in the weeks to come, so that we're connecting those pieces for the stakeholders so that they can see the story. Because ultimately, we want our students to own their story, our core values. Unity, we come together. Service, we continue the work that's been happening in elementary and middle schools of thinking how we can use our time and our talents to support others. Our third core value is perseverance, because they're getting into the second semester of high school and it starts getting hard. It starts getting harder than maybe they expected, and we want them to learn to overcome that. And then finally, our fourth core value of independence. That's the story that we want to walk them through in their freshman year, so that when they leave us and go to the main campus, they are owners of their own learning because they've owned their story. And that only works if the community's on that story, and then that's part of that journey with us. And that's ultimately how we work to build culture on our campus. So,
thank you, Dr. May. I hope that's given you just a glimpse of how our philosophy is that communication, effective communication, is everyone's job, and it's everyone's opportunity to contribute to. And so focusing on just briefly what's next. There's so many things that we want to do to build upon this good year that we've had of communication, but one is on focus on cultivating partnerships. So now that we have established a framework for how we can communicate with our community, we want to build on that, because remember, the goal is about partnerships. And so we want to move people not just from being informed to being actively engaged in the success of our schools and school system, to help people who live here understand that when you live in this community, whether you have a child in our schools or not, when you live here, when you shop here, when you buy a home here, when you are active in our schools, you're part of something much greater than yourself. You are part of continuing the legacy of Vestavia Hills City Schools. We also want to work on an expansion of parent awareness content. Our schools do such a great job, and you just heard Dr. Mann talking about some of the efforts that they make to keep parents informed with what's going on at the freshman campus, and all of our schools do such a great job with that. The data that we have this year on our online platforms like Parent Square and social media and what have you would indicate that there's an opportunity to also leverage those platforms to share that valuable parent awareness information. So excited about some opportunities there. And then finally, professional development with our team on communication best practices. Now that we have given every teacher and employee and administrator in our system these robust communication tools, we want to continue working with them on how do you use them effectively, how can you get better at using them. I've had the opportunity to visit all of our schools this year and do some professional development, and they're all asking, can you come back and do some advanced features of these different platforms and help us level up? And so that's something that we're going to be doing in the coming year as well. Questions, thoughts, comments on what you've heard?
I was just gonna say Parent Square's been, for me, like a game changer as a parent with kids in 3 schools. Everything is chronological order. You can type in a name and search. You can toggle between the schools. If you miss an email or an alert, it's there. And I think I hear that a lot from parents, that platform, and to be able to go in and hit, email my teacher, just whatever, like even in Power School, just the tools that we have now, I think make it a lot easier. And it's been extremely helpful as a parent.
Yes, agree 100%. Also, the social media engagement, the increase in that is amazing. For those of us who are old enough to remember a life before the internet, it seems weird to prioritize that. But when you think about it, if we used our communication to only share essential information, our social media would disappear. So, I mean, I know you understand this, but it's keeping everything engaged, keeping things updated is what makes us continue to stay visible when we do have that essential information that we need to share. So that's a kudos on that increase. That's amazing.
Thank you. And thanks to our liaison for sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Will.
Thank you, Will. All right, is there anyone here for public comment tonight? All right, without being a silence, then we will move to adjourn. Before I do, it's spring fever for you guys. I feel for you guys, but it's like my house. It's tough to get them to look at the books right now, the seniors. So anyway, keep up the great work and to everyone, finish strong.
And cheers to ACAP testing after spring break.
Very much so. So anyway, meeting adjourned.